right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Danger Ranger podcast. This is episode 4. As always, I am your host, Zach Allred, former 175 Ranger, and currently YouTube algorithm favorite. I've blown up over the past couple days, honestly. Like, I hit 1,000 subscribers Sunday night, and then I'm almost already at 1,500, 2 days after. So I don't know why. I guess I'm putting out at least halfway decent stuff that makes y'all want to watch. So I appreciate everyone that subscribed, truly and honestly. This is just the beginning, and hope to, really make this channel something cool and unique. We're focusing on a lot of Ranger stuff right now. That's not what this channel is going to be about permanently. I want to, talk about my experiences in Ranger Regiment and give value, because that's kind of what I know. And that's what I can talk eloquently and intelligently about right now, while I am working on other endeavors, entrepreneurial endeavors, and adventure and stuff outside of the Army. But for right now, the algorithm seems to like pushing my Ranger content, so that is what we're going to leverage for the time being. So if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to stick around. You can just put me on mute, don't watch my videos for a little bit, or just watch the ones that make sense for you to watch. I appreciate all the former Rangers that have reached out in the comments and given support. I'm hesitant about filming this kind of stuff because the Ranger Regiment and Army Special Operations as a whole is a little bit more. We don't like to talk about things as much. Like, we like to be a little bit more the quiet professional. And like anyone, even if they're talking about open source kind of stuff, it's kind of it's a challenge because you're worried about your Ranger brothers kind of looking down on you for it. So I'm trying to walk this line between giving content and giving good value to dudes who want to join Ranger Regiment or who wonder, if it's a good place for them, and then just giving it all away and giving away all the secrets. So going to walk that line as best I can, being entertaining and providing value while not giving away legitimate, stuff that could harm or put any current Rangers' lives into jeopardy. So it's tough because there's a lot of cool stuff I wish I could share, but I just don't feel comfortable sharing it. So maybe one day, episode 250, maybe it will be really cool, and when the war is officially over, when no one really cares anymore. So anyways, we'll do a quick update on stuff going on the home front. Oh man, I don't know how many times I've filmed in this garage already, but I don't like it. This is the only place I can have this set up. So I'm going to look and see if there's a way that I can modify my current office space where I do my sewing for Rockwell Designs and like editing and stuff. See if I can't modify and do something in there to eliminate me having to come out in the garage and sweat my dick off and sweat through the shirts. Like, this is going to be darker brown by the end of this for sure, because this will be somewhat of a longer podcast, I feel like. Got some cool stuff to talk about today. I just had the restock of Ranger Green SMG and Woodland SMG rigs. I don't have one out here to show you right now. I'm going to put maybe like a video or two of them at the end. But they're still in stock. There's a couple left. I just sent out the first batch of dudes that ordered them over the weekend. Just mailed those out today. So if you're watching this and you're one of them, it's on its way. Check your email for your shipping. If you haven't picked one up and you have some kind of pistol caliber carbine or AKV, KP9, any of those kind of MP5 even, any kind of pistol caliber carbine or submachine gun that you need some kind of way to carry mags, I've got your solution. Go check it out on my website, rockwell-designs.com, or you can find me on Instagram at rockwell-designs-actual. All right, that's the update for now. Got the M81 coming out at the end of the month still, September 30th, M81 AK chest rigs. Just doing AKs this time, no 308s on this drop, but I also have some Rhodesian brushstroke camo that I have acquired. If you didn't see that on my Instagram story on Rockwell Designs Actual, it's coming. There's actually going to be Rhodesian brushstroke chest rigs, and you bet there's going to be some 308 variants of that. That'll be not October, that'll be like November timeline, November, early December. I'm planning to be busy most of October with other pursuits, so there won't be much from the Rockwell Designs account during October. All right, so because of the Ranger content blowing up, we're going to really kind of just talk about, I guess, a lot of questions. I keep getting the same questions in the comments, which is great. I'm doing my best to reply to everyone. It is a lot of work, so if I haven't gotten to you yet, if you DM me, I see you. I'm getting to you. I'm not gonna forget about you on purpose. But I'm gonna film this video as kind of a reference point for dudes, because I keep getting the same questions about like how to prepare for Rasp. You know, is Ranger Regimen good for me for this situation? Blah 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 blah. So I'm gonna give my experiences here, because again, like each person is different. Each person's fitness level and mental aptitude is gonna be completely different, and I can't tell you what you need to do, because like I can, but I can't. Like I don't know you. I don't know what your natural talents, where your natural talents lie. I don't know where your natural physical ability is. I don't know whether you're gonna have to you know, focus on weightlifting or focus on running, like that kind of thing. That's something that you'd have to have someone in person to tell you, and then give you a legitimate like workout routine. I'm not a certified personal trainer or anything of that sort. I can just tell you what I did, and you can make your own intelligent decisions and consult with a physician, you know, whatever kind of legal stuff I need to say to save my ass here. But, you know, take with what I say with a grain of salt. This is what worked for me. And could I have done it a little bit more intelligently looking back on it? Yeah, probably. And we'll get into that, exactly what I did here. So we'll address the first thing of why I joined the Army, and specifically Ranger Regiment in general. So back in when I was like 12, 13, you know, I don't know what clicked in my head. It was just a moment in middle school, I'm pretty sure. We were doing some kind of goal setting activity at the beginning of the year. Maybe it was the end of the year. I'm not too sure. But I was like reading a book about Army SF at the time, Special Forces Green Berets. Not SOF. SOF is a catch-all term. SF is specifically the, you know, Special Forces groups. I was like, man, I really want to be a Green Beret. So, you know, did a lot of research, did a lot of reading. Was super interested in going the 18 X-ray route for a while. And then as I kind of grew and learned more about the Army and learned more about how 18 X-rays, how that selection process works and how long it takes, like with the Q course, how long it really takes to get to your SF unit, I was like, man, that's a long time. Like, I'm okay with the time, but it's like, I want to join and I want to go do stuff as soon as I can. Like, I want to go and I want to deploy, because the whole reason for me joining was I want to go and experience, you know, conflict. I want to experience that kind of part of human existence that a lot of people don't get exposed to at all during their lives and over the course of the progression of modern society. Like, you can go your entire life without having to throw a punch or shoot a gun at someone. And I was like, I don't want that. I want to go and experience this. And you know, I don't want to make a career. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to make a career out of it. I was like, hey, I'm going to go do, you know, an enlistment, maybe re-enlist, and I'm going to get out. I want to experience stuff, so I need to get into a unit that gets me to what I want to experience the fastest. And what I, you know, came to learn was that Ranger Regiment was probably the best option for that. So you can join Ranger Regiment, and as soon as you get there, as soon as you pass RASP, you can deploy. Like, it can happen very quickly. For one of my deployments, I'm not going to say the year, but we had a no-notice deployment, and there was a guy that had just shown up to the platoon like over Christmas, basically, and he ended up deploying with us. He'd been in the Ranger Regiment and been in our platoon for about 2 weeks, and he was on a bird going overseas with us. He didn't even have his gun zeroed. Like, that's how quick you can get into it in Ranger Regiment, because of the uniqueness and because of the fact that we're a reaction force for the entire country as a whole. When you're on that kind of alert status, you can be gone very, very quickly. And so I knew that going in. I was like, hey, they're constantly deployed. This was back, you know, still, you know, this is around 2015 when I was prepping to go in. So they're still deploying to Afghanistan. They're deploying to Afghanistan was still a big one. I don't think we had been going into Iraq. Maybe we were to fight ISIS. I think we were a little bit. I didn't really know about the Rangers' involvement in Iraq yet. But for sure, we were still in Afghanistan, still hitting targets in Afghanistan. So, yeah, that's why I picked Ranger Regiment, is because they can get me to this. They can get me into the shit fastest, and it's still a challenge. You know, Rasp is still a challenge. Making it through Ranger School is still a challenge. Making it to the end of the day in Ranger Regiment as a private without getting scuffed up is a challenge. So I was like, all right, that's what I want. I don't want to go and spend 2 years in a prep course, which I basically did after, you know, by the time I graduated Ranger School and Rasp. Like, my time cumulatively was probably about a year or so between those two, because we had holiday block leave during Rasp. So it was like 4 months, and then I spent 6 months in Ranger School. Special Ranger School video coming out this week because it is my 5th anniversary of graduating Ranger School this year. So anyways, so that's why I joined and picked Ranger Regiment. And I just knew that being in a higher quality unit is the ticket to survivability. Like the Ranger medics, there's no one better than a Ranger medic, you know, as far as taking care of the boys and just the assets they can bring to bear with 160th and the rest of strike forces. Like, you can't match the survivability and of Ranger Regiment. Like, so it's honestly like one of the safer places to be if you are trying to see combat, because of just how well that they take care of their men. And that's something that I really applaud Regiment for. So that's why I joined and specifically picked Ranger Regiment. So what I did to prepare for Ranger Regiment, this is the biggest question of what do I need to do. The biggest thing is the mental game. I talk about this in my video about, I can't remember the title of it, but it's like how to get and how to be, do, or have anything in life. And it's about the simple visualization technique. Or basically, I'm going to summarize that video if you haven't watched it yet, but if you haven't, go check it out. It'll probably be in the recommended, or you can just find it on my channel. So you basically get a folder of pictures on your phone or on your computer, whatever you use. You can print these out as well, but it just, you know, it makes more sense to save ink and have it on your phone, and then you don't have to cart around all these pictures with you because you're going to be using them every day. You get a bunch of pictures of like where you want to live, the car you want to drive, the woman you want to be with, like the job that you want to have, and you get all those pictures together and put them in a folder, and you take it, you know, 10-20 minutes every single day to look at them before you go to bed, and as soon as you wake up, you look at those and you remind yourself of your goals. You remind yourself of where you're going, and that's really going to do a lot to help build your mental state into going after. It doesn't just apply to the Army either. This applies to anything in life. Like, it's going to remind you of where you're going, and it's going to keep you focused on that mission, so that when it does get tough and when it does get hard, you can more easily remember why you're doing it, because you've been practicing it every single day. Let me take a drink here. So the mental game is more than half the battle, honestly. Physically, what I did to prepare. So I was in track for the entirety of my high school experience, high school time. I was a 100, 200, 400 meter runner, and I would run all the freaking relays. I was a 4x1 runner and a sprint medley runner and a 4x4 runner. So I was running, you know, a 400 meter race probably at least twice per meet. And then obviously during the week training specifically for the 400 meter, which is an absolute brutal race. If you don't know, if you haven't run track, like it's brutal. It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, to run very well. So it's a really good gut check, but that's neither here. That's neither here nor there. So I was running though a lot. I was doing a lot of sprints, a lot of that, and specifically my senior year is when I really turned my training into overdrive. I signed my contract October 3rd of 2014 on the anniversary of Battle of the Black Sea, Mogadishu, which I thought was kind of, you know, I don't know, some kind of sign. I don't know if it's a sign per se, but like it was fitting for me. And from that point, I was in the delayed entry program because I hadn't graduated high school yet. My ship date was like June 15th of 2015, so like 2 weeks after I graduated high school. So I had, what's the timeline on that? About 8 months to prepare before going to shipping off to basic. So what I did is I had an Alice pack, an old Alice pack that I had been using for camping. I was in the Boy Scouts made the rank of Eagle Scout as well. But I had this Alice pack that I had, and I would load it down. At first, when I first started, rucking, I just had these 15-pound dumbbells that I would throw in the radio pouch of this Alice pack, and I'd strap it down as tightly as I could, and then I just go on a yob, go on a little walk. Not really, I had these boots. They were like some Converse. They were like Converse military boots. I don't think they make them anymore, but they were really comfortable, and they were actually pretty good boots. I got rid of them eventually, and I would just wear shorts and a t-shirt, and I would throw on my Alice pack and start walking. I lived in Utah, so we have a decent elevation there. It's like 5,000 or 6,000 foot elevation where I live, so I had the elevation advantage going for me because I knew I was going to be going to Georgia. So granted, that wears off pretty quick, so it didn't really make much of a difference. But so I rucked a lot, which looking back on it, probably didn't need to do the volume that I was doing. I was doing a short ruck during the week, so 3 to 4 to 5. Sometimes I wouldn't go more than 6 miles during the week, and I'd do that on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And then Saturday would roll around, and I would get up early, and I would do a 6 to 10 mile ruck as well. And this is on top of running after school, doing like 3 to 5 mile runs every day. This is outside of track season. Once track season rolled around, I would do my track workouts. But before track season started, I would do this. And then I think that I would alternate, if I recall correctly, I would alternate the long rucks on the weekends with a timed 5 mile in like a 15-pound kit. I had this airsoft kit that I made some fake weight plates for. It was about 15 pounds. And I would run my 5 mile in this airsoft kit. 15 pounds isn't really a lot, but it was just another added element of stress and realism, if you will. I know that you don't get tested in a kit for your actual PT test. You do during the RPAT, the Ranger Physical Assessment, I think, test. Oh man, I don't know the acronym for that. Excuse me. But for your actual 5 mile, you don't get tested in a kit. So I was running every single day, and I was doing a body weight routine. I don't recall the body weight routine off the top of my head right now. But yeah, so I was rucking a lot, and I was running a lot, and doing push-ups. I did have a weight class, the last 3 or 4 months of my senior year, where I was doing a little bit of benching, doing a little bit of squatting, doing some deadlifting, some power cleans. All were just really bad form. I have a few videos saved from that, and it's just like, dude, how did you not blow your back out doing some of this stuff? I would say that it's probably good to implement some kind of weightlifting into your routine and into your prep. Don't go ham with it. Don't do something that's gonna harm you. Like, I had been lifting for a while. Like, I knew the basics. I knew how to hurt myself, essentially. But having some kind of actual like strength and just the added bone density you get from weightlifting, especially when you're a younger kid, high school, it's beneficial for sure. And it will vary. It'll help change things up from just running and doing push-ups, because that's really all you really need to do. But if you throw in some lifting in there every now and then, like 2 or 3 days a week, it won't hurt, and it'll probably help you much more in the long run. I didn't ever go over 10 miles because I was like, that was diminishing returns. Like 12 miles is the test time. Like, if I can burn in a quick 10 miler, under 2 hours, like, I know that I can make a 12 miler in 3. Like, that's no problem. I was doing these rucks pretty quick. I eventually moved on from the 15-pound dumbbells, and I built some weighted sandbag pills. I got some gravel from Home Depot and some of these really thick polyurethane bags, and I made like little pills so I could like adjust and tailor my load a little bit more than just having a single sandbag pill. And then that was dry, so I had a 45-pound ruck dry, and then I would throw in a 3-liter Camelback. And my senior year, I took to start carrying around, like those metal shelves from Home Depot, or like the garage shelves with those like right angle corner kind of pieces, the bars. I had a stack of those that was about 14 pounds that was duct taped together, and I would carry that around all my rucks. to simulate a rifle. Twice the weight of a, your M4. It was like I said, 14, 15 pounds, and it was long. It was like freaking 3.5 feet long. So really unwieldy, ungainly, and it was just, added to the mental test more than anything of, can I, carry this? Funny story. I actually got stopped by a cop at one point, rucking through this, through not a neighborhood, but it was like on the main road outside of this neighborhood. And he's like, I got some call from some lady saying there's a dude running around in camouflage with a rifle. And I was like, well, I'm in the camouflage, but this is very clearly not a rifle. He's like, yeah, no problem, man. Have a good one. Like, let me go on my way. Some Karen was out there trying to stop this train from getting where it was going to go. Another cool thing that happened while I was out rucking one of the times was I saw this. I was, coming back. I was on the back 2 miles, back 3 miles of my ruck for that day, like the last little bit. And I see this truck come, flying, kind of going on this other side of the road away from me. I'm running towards traffic, and this truck kind of slow rolls by me, and then he flips a U-ey, and he like slows down and stops. And it was a 19 Special Forces guy. He was kind of asking what the hell I was doing out there with an Alice pack, being young and carrying around this freaking pole of metal. And I was like, yeah, I got an option 40. Like, I'm gonna go join Ranger Regiment. He's like, that's badass, man. Like, hey, looking to do an SF, after. I was like, yeah, maybe I might go and then go to SF after. But he's like, you should just switch over to an 18 X-ray. I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, we'll see. But it was pretty motivating to interact with a member of the Army SOF community before going out. It was a cool little interaction that I had. So yeah, that's what I did to prepare. I know it's not super detailed. I did follow there is an official publication from the 75th. It's like a 12-week Rasp selection prep guide. It's kind of geared more towards dudes who are already in the Army who are going to Rasp, I think, because one of the mistakes that I made was, like, I still had basic to go through. And basic training in OSUT at Fort Benning is geared towards the lowest common denominator. So you're starting out, and it was nothing near what I was doing. Like, your first couple rucks you do in freaking running shoes. Like, it was silly. I was like, hey, I've been doing, 45-pound rucks and boots and pants, like, for a year now. Like, I'm ready to start doing that kind of hard stuff. But they have to, go from the lowest common denominator, which is some inner city kid who's never put on a rucksack in his life. And it's like, all right. So you honestly lose a bit of conditioning in basic training initially, and then once you get towards the end, that's when you can you start doing more group runs. So you're running with groups that are a little bit more fast, or more geared towards your speed and your athletic ability. So it didn't really matter too much in the long run. The 12-miler we did in basic was a joke. I remember joking with my buddy Jake. Jake was, he's still one of my homies. He's probably watching this right now. You know who you are. He was walking in front of me the whole time. We were just shooting the shit the entire time because of how slow it was. Not a challenge at all. I think it went longer than 3 hours, just because you're moving an entire company's worth of dudes on the side of a road in Fort Benning. Yeah, it was a little bit of a joke, but I digress. So I will link that Rasp prep guide, because it is still beneficial, I think, to kind of see how a good training program progresses. I will link that below if I can find it. I'm sure that there's an updated one, considering it's been over 6 years since I saw that last. If not, I'll link the one that I have. I think I've got it saved somewhere as a PDF. So it'll be in the description if I can find it. Last thing I'm going to cover today, because we're going long here, about 24 minutes in. My phone's about to die. If it hasn't died already, I'm going to be absolutely pissed off, because I'm going to have to reshoot this later. So why people fail Rasp or quit Rasp. And this goes back to the thing I was saying about how to prepare. It's all mental. Like, it's physically demanding. Rasp is very physically demanding. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be, Coal Range is going to break you in some way, one way or the other. It's going to get to some dark recess of your mind, and it's going to, make you really question if you want to do this. I'll tell my Coal Range story another time, because it was fun, because I had my birthday during Coal Range, so it was kind of, I don't know, interesting. But the biggest thing that I saw with people who quit during Coal Range, and after Coal Range we didn't get too many quitters. if I recall correctly. But Coal Range is what gets most people in like the first week or so. Like we started with, I think we had 175, 165 in my class to start, and we graduated like 74, 75. Rasp class 216. But it was just dudes who didn't believe in themselves. It was dudes who didn't believe in themselves, and then dudes, I know specifically one of my best friends, he injured himself during Coal Range, and he didn't want to sit through the recycle period, and then risk, aggravating his knee injury worse, and then really not being able to make it. So he chose to quit. I'd say it's like 2, 3, maybe 5% max injuries, and then the rest of the quitters are going to be because of they just don't got it. They just don't got the guts. They don't got the heart. And honestly, the more people quit before we even got to RASP. This is when they did airborne before RASP. Is they would do airborne school and then they wouldn't go to RASP because they just wanted airborne, and they thought, I heard some excuses from some really solid dudes. They're like, oh man, I just want to be at my unit already, man. Like, I'm sick of this training. I'm like, dude, like, I get it, but like, your unit's not going to be anywhere close to being in Ranger Regiment, my man. Like, you can't just go to expect Fort Bragg or the 82nd, nothing on the 82nd, but it's like, hey man, like that's not going to be the pinnacle of your career, the 82nd. Like, you're thinking short term. You need to think, 5 years out, like, hey, 5 years, am I going to be happy in the 82nd, or I'm going to be more happy as a Ranger team leader in the Ranger Regiment, actually deploying and doing my job? So it was mostly just dudes who couldn't talk themselves into sticking and staying the course that quit. Simple as. I don't know exactly what goes on in someone's mind when they quit. Like, I haven't quit. I didn't quit RASP. I didn't quit Ranger School. I recycled Ranger School a lot, but I didn't fucking quit it. I'll tell my Ranger School story this week. You'll hear it. I have a lot of Ranger School stories, and yeah, but I don't know exactly what causes a person to quit, besides the fact that they're just not mentally strong enough and can't look past their immediate situation and think long term. Like, if you think long term, hey, it doesn't even need to be long term. It needs to just be, in a month will I be okay? Like, if you're in a really dark spot during Coal Range or during selections, like, hey, like, will I be okay in 1 month if I quit or not? And chances are you're not going to be okay with it. You're okay with quitting in the moment because you want this physical pain and mental challenge to end, but you need to just have a longer scope of it. It's like, even past a month, in a year, like, will I be happy with quitting? And chances are you're not going to be. So that's my recommendation, is just take a longer term approach to it. Like, if you're in the heat of the moment and you feel like you want to quit, just say you're going to do it tomorrow. That's a trick that a lot of people have. They're like, hey, I'm going to quit today. I'm not going to quit today, but I'm going to quit tomorrow. And then you just keep doing that, and you keep showing up, and eventually you're going to make it. And that's really the secret. It's just dudes who are willing to not quit. It's really not complicated. There's no secret. There's no esoteric knowledge of how to get into Ranger Regiment or any kind of make it through any kind of selection program. You need to be fit going in. You need to be, close to the best shape of your life, and then you just need to have a mindset of, I'm not going to quit, and I'm going to remember exactly why I want to do this. That's all I've got for today, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you all watching. If you made it this far in the video, drop a like. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Zach Allred Official or at Rockwell Designs Actual. If you want to DM me there, it's a little easier for me to track and respond to DMs there. And then if you have questions, go back through and watch. I have a Ranger Knowledge playlist that I'm building here. So go back and read through the comments. There's a ton of comments on those where I've been answering a lot of questions. So before you inbox me some basic stuff, go look through those. Go see the questions that people have asked, and then if you still got a question, DM me on Instagram. But that's all for today. I'll see you all tomorrow, and as always, have a good one.